Pledge of Allegiance and the Invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you for your guidance tonight, especially since this is a year since Mark and I joined this council. Hope we have done things in your eyes that were pleasing. Help us to continue to make improvements in our town. And thank you also tonight for stopping the needed rain for our tree lighting ceremony. We ask this in your Son's precious name. Amen.
Amen. Next item on the agenda is the reading of the minutes for November the 14th. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor then of those minutes being approved as written, do so with show of hands. Next is the November 15th meetings. Is there a motion for approval of the November 15th minutes?
I make a motion.
And a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of those being approved as written, do so with show of hands. And next is the administrative briefing. Mr. Brown, anything you need to add?
Two things, Mr. Mayor. Last week we submitted our application to Lexington County for our alcohol tax grant for the 2017 Orchestra. We'll find out about that in a couple of months. But they max out at $2,500. We've been getting it every year for about the last 10 years. Also getting ready to bid out the advertisement for updating our website for the town. There's a few companies out there that will offer us a little better program than what we got, but they'll spice it up and allow us to do a lot of interactive forums online that we don't have that ability now. So we'll get those bids back about a month.
Okay. So it's already bid out, or you're working on the bid now? Or?
Bidding out next week.
Oh, okay.
And we need to be able to access the website through our iPads. Whatever the technology needs to be done. In other words, we need to be able to access the website, the videos through the iPads on the website. Not able to do that now. And, sporadically you are, but, you need to be able to do it consistently.
Well, we'll make a long laundry list, make sure we've got all the technology crammed into the new advertisements that we can.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that we haven't caught up with yet that we need to, that's what we're doing.
And make sure you let us know so if we want something or need something or want to add something or whatever, we can do it before we bid it out. Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Brown about anything on the briefing here? Seeing none. Next is next is the amendments to the agenda. Any amendments to the agenda? None. Next is consideration of communication. First thing is a report from the Orchestra Commission, and I will ask, there he is, Larry Slaughter.
There he is.
Hello, Larry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and ladies and gentlemen. I think you were all emailed a copy of this report. We're proud of what we did, the financial basis of the report of the 2016 Orchestra. I think Councilman Waits calculated, $30.94 short of $30,000 of excess revenue over the expenses of the festival. So we're pleased with that. That leaves us with a very good sound, a very sound performance this year. We exceeded every goal set for us in sponsorships, income from there's better arrangements with amusement vendors, better arrangements with beverage sales. So we wound up just less than $30,000 of income over expenses. We met as the town code calls for us to meet shortly after the festival. The commission did meet We papered the dais up here with things that we thought we did well and things that we thought we needed to improve, and a lot of good input from many of the commissioners and also other stakeholders in the festival. Particularly things that happened very well this year. We had the best utilization of the shuttle bus service that we ever had, remote parking, bringing people in, and that generally contributed to a very good traffic flow in the festival. So we've counted that as this was the first time we brought people into the festival on the shuttle buses. We had a good flow of that bringing people in, that cut down on the long walk to get into the festival site. We also did a lot of things in the festival that kept the vendors from having to go in and out. We had refrigerated trucks. We had ice there for them so they didn't have to leave the festival site, which again just helped us with the overall traffic flow. The entertainment was fun. It seemed to fit the size of the festival. And we also got a lot of good buzz from the smaller acts around, from Princess Elsa to the balloon guys, and just things happening throughout the park. We thought generally our feedback was very good on that. And thank goodness it was an incident-free festival. There were no major, thanks to the public safety officers, everything seemed to go very well. We also stepped up what we did for sponsors this year. We did so well with the bus service. We got so many people on it that's our biggest challenge going forward. We got to get some more buses and some more capacity because we really did use it well. We need to identify some long-term parking solutions and up the shuttle bus frequency that we have. And we're looking in 2017, hopefully, to improve upon or move up again in the entertainment, both the side acts, more things going on in the park, and we like to move forward in the headline act because that's really what brings the people, brings the publicity of the festival, brings people in first notice. And one of our big goals for the coming year is to improve the communication during the festival itself. Have people who are able to respond to Facebook inquiries, because that's one of the things we're doing, set up some more information tents just where people can find out where things are. That needs more volunteers, and one of the other things that we heard a good bit of in the festival was doing a little bit more to take care of the volunteers that are working out there. So we had some ideas of how to do that. And our very first year, the very Okra person tent, we thought was nice. We want to keep moving that. Glad to see you. It was new. It was not heavily utilized this year, but we think it's a good addition to the festival for years to come. So with that, the commission had an overwhelming desire to use the money from the festival this year to make improvements in the infrastructure of the park itself, reinvest back into the park, particularly the electrical service, which we think have peaked it. What we hear from Whit, he's over there tripping breakers on a regular basis. But we also just need power to some other locations, to Oakland, some of these places some of these guys are running generators just to have more electrical power capacity. So for first year, that's what we would ask to do with our money. We'd like, I don't know how this will work, but Mr. Klein can put some kind of an idea together that we could use some of this excess money to fund to up the electrical capacity in the community park for the festival particularly. And we also would intend on making another scholarship, but we'd like to do that out of this year's money so that we're matching the scholarships to the festival. We're kind of a year behind of how we're doing it right now in terms of reporting it. So that's our use of the 30,000 funds right now.
I think the use, especially for the park, increasing the voltage or whatever you need to, I think that's a wonderful idea.
Good.
Very good.
Did you prepare this or did Bob prepare this?
The financial reports
Yeah.
Came out from Bob and Renee.
Okay. Well, I think he did a great job, man. I mean, he pulled it off, and I appreciate you doing that for us.
Thank you. It was a good festival. We hope to do like the one Sam Ranch. You could say is the greatest orchestra ever, and then next year I'll come back and tell you the same thing. That's our goal here. Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said we made 30,000 about on this one, and you prepared this report. Does that mean that we have an additional 30,000 plus the 30,000 we already had in the Orchestra area, or how much do we have in the Orchestra area?
This doesn't include any of the savings of money that they had in full cash before it started.
Well, how much is in there?
This does include, grants and money that council gave them.
Yeah, I know. So how much do we have? We had 30 in the beginning, right? Before the strut, we had about 30, didn't we?
In our full cash, that's correct, about 28,000.
Okay, so now we got about 58,000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so 60 grand for the next year's orchestra in starting money.
That's not the way we've done it in the past, but you could.
Less whatever is spent on the power, if they go forward with that.
Correct.
But right now, we got $60,000
Yeah, roughly.
approximately in the orchestra fund or orchestra area, orchestra line item.
The funds between their operating and their, what we can call their savings, but it's all full cash and general fund,
Yeah, but,
just a separate line item.
okay, the line item for the orchestra is $60,000 about, right? Is that, I'm just asking, I don't know what the number is.
Probably somewhere between 55 and 60 with this.
Right. So if we were gonna do the orchestra for 2017, they got $60,000 to work with off the bat,
Minus the electrical.
whatever that's gonna cost if we even do it, right?
If council votes to give them the money, that's correct. Normally it's revenue versus operating expense, and the money just stays there until they decide where they want to donate it or how council wants to spend it. They don't just arbitrarily have access to it.
Okay.
So we'll need something as far as the price at some point that says, here's how much it's gonna cost to do that, and we can,
That's correct. They can provide recommendations like they did. I know Larry wants to do the upgrade to the electrical at the park, and I'm going to guess that's probably somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. The CEG has to run a whole new line in there.
Okay, when we built the park, I thought we took care of that when we built it, didn't we?
Well,
Wait,
got
didn't we
power
have,
Now we have 400 amps and all kinds of hookups, but the festival keeps getting bigger and they keep sucking up all the juice.
what was blowing last year, Whit? I mean,
There wasn't anything blown.
We had a lot of extension cords, though.
Well, you're always gonna have that.
yeah, I mean, that's,
There's more demand than we have. If you've got 20 plugs and you got 25 people wanting to plug up to it, you're not gonna be able to do it. So we just need more of the outlet boxes.
oh, okay.
You can't just add on to what you've got because they're maxed out at amperage.
so we gotta add more power in.
We've got,
saying you want
we've
more
got
outlet.
800 amps over there right now. We need more amperage. So we're going to put in a whole nother transformer and a whole new system.
No feeder line, you need a whole new feeder line.
Correct.
For other outlets, for other
But the
locations.
additional outlets are different locations, correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everything we got works fine. There's just more demand than what we have,
There's not enough of it.
correct.
Like for Okra Man.
And I was going to
Correct.
speak up in particular, just as a good example, I mean, Okra Man's kind of a landmark out there. We don't have power, we don't have enough power to run more power to it, so.
Yeah, there's no power even close to that location.
Well, that's only 110 and it's only one location. It's not like it's, what are they running? We're running electric fryers and stuff like that off of that stuff?
They run everything, from lights to fans to electrical fryers to heat lamps to whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're using, okay,
I mean, they use an amperage quick.
yeah.
And amps drive the machine.
Chiropractors with the massage chairs, you had computer companies showing off their software. They all need power.
That's all 110.
Some of those-
Sound like,
No,
No, it's,
You
some of
still
those
need the amps
way
to
up there,
drive
those
it.
big food trucks take up a lot of amperage. Those are 50 amps right there.
And the
Each one of
rides,
those
I would
trucks.
imagine, the rides.
The rides are on a generator. No, that's way up there. We'd never, you'd go through.
yeah, we never had
hundreds
the
of
rides on
amps
there.
for those. Yeah, those have to be run off of a really big generator.
Interesting, okay.
So we'll come up with something and let y'all talk about it.
But again, I thought we took care of this when we built the park, though. We had this all planned out. Oh, we're gonna have enough voltage, enough outlets for around the
The
circle.
festival has substantially grown since the park was planned. You've got a lot more
Okay.
vendors than you ever had before.
Yeah, and we've added another
That parking lot wasn't
bathroom,
even
another
there when we
picnic
built the
shelter, and
park.
another
The what?
playground.
The picnic shelter, the playground, the parking lot was not there when we built the park.
Okay, and it's tapped off that same
Yep.
line? Okay,
And that's where we need all the
I got you.
additional electricity.
And a lot of vendors are at that new parking lot, and the backside of it has nothing. Alrighty, couple of things I wanted to mention too for everybody. I know we got an email the other day, and I just got a letter here too. The 15th of this month, which is next Thursday, the Pennies for Progress people is having that meeting on the widening of Broad River Road at Dutch Fork Elementary from 5 to 7. That might be good to hear what's going on. And also, y'all may have seen it, may not have, but this morning at Nursery Road Elementary, they had a little presentation, I guess you call it out there. And one of the school teachers, Vanessa Torres, won a $25,000 prize for being a Teacher of the Year from the Milken Foundation. They do about 20 to 30 teachers a year throughout the country. And she was the one that won for over here.
Chip Huggins had nice pictures too on Facebook showing that, which I appreciate it.
And they kept it a surprise until they announced who it was. I think everybody was brought in there, and nobody knew basically what was going on. And also, just a reminder, tomorrow, December the 7th, when we wake up in the morning, is a special day. Remember, that's the day that,
Well, at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
1 o'clock, yeah. So,
For Pearl
Eight.
yeah, for
PM.
Pearl Harbor, so
a
keep that
day
in
that
your.
will live in infamy.
And hopefully it does, and we will continue to remember it, kind of like 9/11. But any other considerations of communications?
Yeah, Bob, we got word that the DOT has finished the work over on Carlisle Street. And I went over there and looked at it and asked you to give me an idea of if they were done, and you said they were. What's the deal with Carlisle Street? They were supposed to pipe in that ditch and finish it off, and where are we at with that?
Well, they're not done. They had sent me an email and they had spent $62,000 for that little bit that we talked about.
On that corner, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they paid the contractor like $26,000 and some change, but then the other money was for mobilization and removing all the riprap and cost that DOT threw out there that I can't verify or, it's just what they say.
They put the riprap in, didn't they?
Put it in there, they don't.
Put it in one contract and take it out in another.
They charge us, okay.
But they're not done, they still have to pave the road. Which is coming out of that money. That money's already set aside in the initial grant. So we're still looking at road paving, and we're looking at siding. I don't know, did they sod yet with? Not yet. They're planning on sodding that whole area over in the corner.
All right, I got an issue with the piping, because we were under, or I was under the understanding that they were gonna pipe in the entire, in front of that building all the way down to the end of the road. And what I've seen them do is just that corner. Now, I think we spent 3 additional contributions, and I don't know what the figure was, but I think it was,
First one, then we had 2 additional, and then we gave them the grant, the refund.
right, so we spent, how much did we spend in, over $100,000 extra?
If you want to count the refund that we were going to get.
The 10,000 we were gonna get back?
You're probably close to $90,000.
$90,000,
Yeah, 'cause
and that's our matching part.
that was our 20%
Mhm.
of what they claimed the project to have cost.
So it costs close to $500,000,
Getting on up there, yes, sir.
right, for them to do that sidewalk. And then we were under the understanding that they were gonna pipe in the entire ditch, and then now you tell me that they never said that they were gonna pipe in the entire ditch, just the corner.
Well, when we put the grant in, they were going to pipe in the entire ditch. That was
Right.
the grant proposal, and that's what they approved, and they sent us a contract.
Right.
Everything was going 4.5 years ago.
Right,
And we've since got to the point where when they asked for the additional money a couple months ago, and they said, well, if we give them the $25,000 refund, then they'll be able to get another $100,000 from the federal government.
okay,
And But yeah, at that time, that's when they said they were only gonna pipe in just the corner, from driveway to driveway on the CrossFit Club. So
Okay.
they still had no intentions of piping it all the way down
Mm-hmm.
the street like we had wanted initially. But again, that was all that they were gonna do for the money that was available.
And even the corner that they piped in, they didn't do it all the way to the end of the corner. There's still a big, about 4-foot gap at the end.
Correct.
Okay.
I can't explain it. It's engineer speak, and I don't speak
Well,
engineer.
I can explain it. We're getting handled by DOT. And I think we need to handle them back by getting and Eric, you might want to help me with this, put some litigation together to sue them and get our money back. Because we spent, like I said, close to $100,000 for a sidewalk that started out being like $30,000. And with the guarantee that we're going to pipe in the entire thing. And then by the time it gets done, we spent, what, $100,000 and didn't get the entire sidewalk piped in. And then even what they said that they were going to do, they didn't even do that. They still left a 4-foot gap at the end of that corner that they did pipe in, and plus it's sinking. It's like it's not even level with the ground. I don't understand that, but that's something engineering, I guess, did.
Again, I don't know. Did you have the pictures on there to show them? I mean, we're just going out and taking a bunch of photos.
Yeah, I mean, you can show them.
It looks a little strange, but the reason they did this has to do with capacity.
With what? Capacity?
They say
Capacity of water.
Okay.
Where all this water is going to drain to on the pipe on Lake Murray Boulevard
Mm-hmm.
is a 24-inch pipe. This pipe they installed is a 3-foot pipe. And I'm not even sure the 3-foot pipe's going to handle the water going through it. That's why they have left it low, so when the pipe fills up to its capacity, it can fill in that low spot there. It'll have somewhere to go and store until the water in the pipe settles down. You will actually see water come up out of those two,
Out of the two black,
yes,
Okay.
those two drains there. You're not gonna have a whole lot of water going there. You're gonna have it come up and then it'll go back down.
Okay, so they engineered it to be under capacity for the pipes that are downstream. Is that what you're telling us? Is that they got it piped in, but they didn't put the right size pipe in it to handle the amount of water?
Well, the problem is the pipe at the end at Lake Murray Boulevard is 24 inches.
And these are smaller than
No,
that?
these are bigger. These are
Oh,
10-foot
okay.
pipes.
Okay. Oh, at the end of, okay, down there where it's connecting to Lake
Yeah,
Murray.
that's why
I
they don't
got
want to
you.
take it all the way to Lake Murray Boulevard.
That's fine,
So
but,
that big ditch is left there to fill up with water.
okay.
The only way to fill that big ditch in is to put in underground retention. Because
Yeah.
that water's got to have somewhere to go.
But we're
Pipe
talking,
won't do it.
I understand it, but we're just talking about channeling right now around that corner and down the street to Lake
Right.
Murray Boulevard. And if you're saying that the capacity is higher than what it is down Lake Murray Boulevard, you got a potential flooding problem in that corner.
That's correct.
Correct, yeah. Potential. You're right.
Yeah, we need to,
But it's better than it was a year ago. I mean, that corner's always flooded.
that's fine if it's better than it was, but we just spent $100,000 for that, and that's not what we asked for.
Oh, I agree with you.
Okay, and I think we need to get a lawsuit going and get our money back, at least. And if they're gonna half do it, we need to give us back $100,000. And again, and it's because that piece of pipe that they did do, if you look on the end, they didn't finish it all the way to the end. There's a 4-foot gap there at the end. I
Well,
don't
they
know if
did
you
that in the whole water too. They're worried about capacity. That water's got to go somewhere. It's an incredible amount of water when it rains. It's coming through there.
Well, they should have engineered it so it could handle it. I mean, that's what we asked them for. Day one, we said, would you pipe in the entire thing? They said, okay, no problem. Here's the contract, this is what it's gonna cost you. Delay, delay, delay. Okay, we need some more money for you to do it. Okay, we gave them some more money. Delay, delay, delay. We need some more money from you to do it. And we said, look, we're not interested in doing it anymore, but then they convinced us, well, this is the last time we're gonna actually give you some money, ask you for money to do it. We said, okay, we'll give you some more money to do it. Now we're up to what, $75,000? And they said, okay, we'll do it now. We'll go ahead and do it. And then when we get done, we said, oh, we're not going to pipe this in because that wasn't part of your contract. Baloney. It was part of the contract to get that whole area piped in.
Well,
And I'm not-
they also turn this grant into sidewalk drainage grant into a road paving grant.
Okay, what does that mean?
They're gonna pave the road with some of the grant money.
Our
Carlisle?
project was just to do the sidewalk.
We've never paved a road. We've never submitted a grant for road paving. Never, ever
They
that I'm
decided
aware
to
of.
do that
We're,
on
we're
their own.
talking about Carlisle. They're gonna pave
Oh,
Carlisle?
yeah.
Right around
The whole
corner.
thing.
The whole thing.
Oh.
Mosley and Carlisle.
All right.
But does this pipe ultimately go into the state pipe that is
Correct.
causing the problem for the old Friars Gate?
No.
Because they
Has
said,
nothing to do with Old Friars.
no, but I mean, it's the same situation. The pipe, the last pipe the water goes in is smaller than the
Correct.
next pipe it goes in, and the pipe we're trying to put in is smaller yet.
Yeah, this pipe they just put in is way bigger than the one it's gonna eventually go into.
Okay.
And they're not gonna tear up Lake.
No, no, and the state won't give any more money to fix it either.
No.
And the county says, we don't have any money.
Correct.
But Witz explained it, better than I could, but the thing is, once it comes out of this pipe and heads to the driveway by the crossbit, then it's open ditch, and they're hoping they don't have enough room to
So,
slow down and go
right.
down before it gets to Lake Murray and goes into the 24-inch pipe. That's what they're hoping.
Okay, that's fine, but we need our money back because that's not what they told us they were gonna do. And,
That's correct.
and that didn't cost no $80,000 for that corner, I'm sorry. If they did, it's another gouging of South Carolina municipal people.
Barry, before you think any more about litigation though, think about whether or not that's self-defeating.
Self-defeating?
DOT is very, very powerful, and we may need a favor or, before we, I just think you have to consider it.
Well, I'll consider it, put it on the next agenda. I got 3 months, 2 weeks to consider it. I mean, we paid a lot of money to get something done. It started out being, we're gonna pipe the whole thing in, we're gonna put the sidewalk in, we said, great. They delayed us, what, 3 times, 4 times?
Delayed about 3 years before they actually
Yeah.
got out there and did some survey work.
And then when they did the survey work, they kept me under the illusion that they were gonna do it the way we originally said. In fact, we even said instead of getting a refund of what, $10,000,
Yeah.
$25,000.
We gave it to them.
Yeah, instead of taking that refund back, we said, no, go ahead and keep it if you're gonna pipe it in. And I said, pipe it in, thinking that they were gonna do the entire corner, at least all the way down to the first driveway past, that ditch. And then I find out that they said, no, we're just talking about that corner. And then I go over and look at the corner, and they still left a 4-foot gap at the end. That's not what we said. That's not what we agreed to. We did not agree to do that.
I understand it.
So to me, okay, well, DOT, give us back our money.
Well, yeah.
We've waited 4.5, 5 years for a sidewalk. The sidewalk's in there, but it's not what we asked for it to be done, and not what you told us you were gonna do.
Can you get the contract, Bob, and give it to Eric and have him look at it? Because I'm sure they did everything they're supposed to do, but
They did. I mean, their excuse along the way was that they did survey, they ran into difficulties.
right, and they kept coming back saying it was gonna cost more and they were gonna do less.
They changed their mind about piping, and then from what I understand, because I had talked to Barry not your Barry, the other Barry Mannix, the DOT last week, and he called me. And he said the problem they had here was when they asked us for the $25,000 refund, their intent, because our concern then was the big hole that was like 20 feet deep and all the riprap.
Right.
And the safety issue. So that was all they were gonna correct was just the corner because of the safety issue.
Well, there's still a 25-inch hole down further, or 25-foot hole or whatever. It's still one down there.
And I can't answer that. I'm gonna try to get them to answer for you.
And their answer is gonna be the water holding capacity is why they left it.
I understand that now. I mean, that's fine. But to me, the engineer should have told us that 4 years ago.
I would agree with you. But at
4
least
years.
we do have a nice sidewalk, and that section of road is gonna be paved that the state of South Carolina was gonna never repave.
Look, I'll be able to eat breakfast off that road. It'd be fine with me, okay, because it'd be so pristine and the sidewalk is brand new. I understand that. But that's not what we asked
I
for.
agree.
That's not what we contracted for.
I agree.
And nobody can tell me in here that that's what we contracted for, because all I heard was pipe in sidewalk for the last 4.5, 5 years. And what we got was nice sidewalk, tore up road, which they're gonna fix, and the corner piped in, and still a gap at the end of the street because of a capacity. Come on, y'all didn't say that. The engineers didn't say, Irmo, this is what we can do, or this is what we can do for your $90,000 matching, matching funds, 20% matching funds, so. Well, put it on the next agenda to make a decision to sue DOT for our money back. And by that time, I would have consulted with Eric, I hope. You'll look at,
I was just asking Eric, he said we're probably swimming upstream and not gonna get anywhere.
well, if Eric, okay, if Eric don't want to do it, well, we'll find an attorney to do it, man.
Council's got to make that decision first, and I don't know if you got a majority that would do it in the first place, because I think they're probably got the legs to stand on, and we don't.
I wonder though, if we're having this problem,
Who else is?
I guarantee.
Exactly.
I guarantee you the whole state is having the same issue. So, and this stems from years ago, each municipality themselves used to take care of this, and one municipality or two municipalities misused the money. So the governor at that time said, no, we're all gonna do it under the roof of DOT,
Well, the
period,
feds made that state
right?
Yeah,
determination.
feds.
They're the ones
The
that,
feds did.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering now if we couldn't get together with other municipalities that are having this same issue and finally go to the State House and say, it's gotta change. We've gotta have, so if we were to combine with other municipalities, and I guarantee you, we're all, every one of us is having the same problem. Now we've got some clout.
well, a lot of them are not having this problem, because a lot of them have their own engineering department that oversee
See
them.
now.
The big
Like they
city.
told me, all this is all safety or old T21 grant money. And I've talked to Julie Barker before she left DOT. She was the one that was heading this for us. And she said, last time she came to visit about 6-7 months ago, that they were going all over the state with their handouts. They were asking for money. All the projects were increasing in cost. You know, I don't know what all means, talking hundreds or, you know,
Yeah.
20, 30, 40, 50, but she made it sound like they were underfunded on all their projects, and they were,
Oh, I'm sure they're underfunded, yeah.
Well, they have I'm gonna call it a position, or whatever you call it, but they have a alternative, which is we can hire our own,
I think we have our own engineer.
have our own engineer and get them qualified and meet their guidelines, and they can oversee the projects, but just
Isn't
for
there
so many
some way the
sidewalks a year.
Municipal association that we could email people and say, are you having this problem? Isn't there,
They've addressed it, but it's not one of their priorities. They got 10 other ones, and
I understand. Okay.
Well, my priority is that we spent 90 grand for something we did not get. And I'm sorry, I mean,
Yeah, well,
you know, that's not what we asked for. That's not what we contracted for. And I refuse to just let it lay because we're scared of DOT being, you know, almighty God, DOT. No, I mean,
Remember, Mr. Walker, when we asked for the last round of money increases from council, all of our projects, we put 4 of them in 5 years ago, and each one of them increased. They asked for more money on each one of those projects over the course of the last 3 years. So,
we could have voted no 3 or 4 times, too.
but
I
then,
mean, they asked for more money on Eastwood and College.
But then
When
we
they got that,
totally
we
lost
ended up giving
Yeah.
$75,000 back.
yeah, but
Kinda like-
the reason why we went forward with this one is because we already
Figure out it ain't
committed,
no good. You just
what,
give up
close to
and go away.
$60,000 in this project already. And we said, okay, you need another 20 or 30 to get started. We already got 60 in it. Go ahead, we'll go ahead and do it. That's what the thinking was on council, thinking that we were going to get the entire thing piped. And then we find out that no, not only did they change the specs, but they changed the, I guess, the engineering requirements, and I didn't know about it.
Everything, just,
Yeah.
they can't pipe it because it couldn't hold water.
Okay, so that should have been brought forward when they told us they needed more money.
Well, all I'm gonna say is, we're under consideration of communication. This is getting into a debate. We need to put it on the agenda as a debate and discussion or an action item at the next meeting.
I just did,
but-
I just still want to do that.
So let's move on for now to the next item, which is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who wants to address council on anything that's on the agenda can do so at this time. All we ask is you come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record and which agenda item you want to discuss. Seeing none. Next is unfinished business, third and final reading of Ordinance 1624 to amend the Irmo Town Code, Chapter 6, Animals, Section 6.8. This is the one we're making the amendments to the animals that are not allowed in Irmo. Is there a motion for third and final reading?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
One item. Since we wrote this, I have received some information from one of our citizens that may or may not make this all-encompassing. And I thought we needed to talk about it and even ask our police if it would make it easier or harder to enforce. Not necessarily your opinion on it, but which one would be better for you. Instead of listing all the animals, there's 3 categories that covers everything: livestock, poultry, and exotic animals. It covers all these and a few more. Would that be easier
So you
or
have
harder to
livestock,
enforce?
did you say poultry?
Poultry and exotic animals.
But by exotic animals, you may be including some birds.
Well, the
If
counties,
they're in the house, it's all right. It's outside the house that. But is that too general, or would you rather have it specific, or they're looking at me like they don't know what the hell I'm talking.
He started glancing at the town attorney.
Well, I wanted to make it either easier or leave it the way it, whatever, that's what it would make it better for y'all, because y'all have to enforce it.
well, and I think Eric had mentioned before when we had talked about farm animals, that was very open-ended.
Well, I mean, you gotta.
Livestock to me would be the same, or,
You gotta remember that lawyers like to parse words. That's the nature of what we do for a living. So livestock, pig is livestock, right? So we would all kind of tend to agree that a pig is livestock, unless it's your pet. Then is it livestock? What about those little guinea pigs that people walk around with? Is that
Pot-bellied
livestock or is
pigs,
it a
yeah.
pig? So I mean, the more general you get, the more room you get for parsing words.
It depends on if it become dinner at the end of the weekend.
But this would keep you all in business, right?
Sure.
but I
I
think the
just-
counties also mentioned, one of the things in both of theirs that I'm not 100% sure, but it says any of the animals have to be licensed and vaccinated. Can you get a pig vaccinated and licensed, even if it's a pet?
I would think so. I mean, I've seen people with pigs for pets. I would assume that they take them out, but I don't know. I'm guessing. I've never gone to vaccinate a pig.
Just take them
Yeah, I
out
didn't
take them out to the barbecue maybe. and-
Well, what was that story, designing women and
Oh, yeah.
she had the
I
pig she'd
remember.
take to walk?
Yeah.
That was in Atlanta, though, and you know, things go
I
weird
would
in
think,
Atlanta.
yeah, things are crazy there, but it would be better to itemize the animal. And I'm asking,
I mean, I think either way it will be enforceable. It leaves room for more fancy arguments about parsing words when we have general categories. Like I said, whether or not something is an exotic animal, maybe in the eyes of the beholder, at least as long as an attorney is making the argument. But whether or not a goat is a goat really can't be argued.
okay.
In poultry, to me, and I don't know if that just includes chickens, hens, but are ducks,
Turkeys?
turkeys? So it may,
All fowl. I
All
think.
fowl,
all
yeah.
fowl.
Quail, dove,
Yum, yum.
yeah. It's,
Well,
I thought you said that ducks was.
well,
we took it out, I
we
think.
took it
Yeah.
out, but
Yeah.
if we went to these three classifications, ducks would be in there.
Yeah, but you said you didn't want to put ducks
I
in there
didn't want
because,
because they can fly. So I don't know
Right.
how we going,
so,
Well,
Make 'em illegal if
we
we
want domesticated dogs.
yes,
Domesticated ducks?
yes.
Well, in other words, something that you would have in your backyard as a pet, or, you know, you're raising them to.
my father-in-law spent a little over $1,100 when my brother-in-law was little because he got a duck for Thanksgiving, Easter, and he wanted the duck to play in the backyard. So my father-in-law had to put a fence up to keep the duck in Atlanta.
Well, I mean, we could either leave it as is, and then if it comes up too confusing, then come back and add those things to it. Myself personally, I like having them more named so that people that are reading it go, well, what about this? Is this, then at least they look at that list and go, no,
Well,
it's in there.
We've got farm animals included but not limited to. We could have after horses, we put and all other types of livestock.
You could put that, livestock, poultry, and
Yes,
whatever the other one was. What was the other one?
exotic animals. That would
And
include-
exotic animals are in the counties, but I don't know, they do have them listed. They have them listed as exotic, and then they have them broken down like snakes and whatever, I don't
Yeah,
know, all that kind of stuff.
okay, I think we ought to do that.
So you want to make an amendment?
An amendment, horses, comma, all other types of livestock, poultry, and exotic animals.
and exotic animals includes,
Snakes.
that's what I'm saying, I mean, people have snakes as
They
pets.
can have them in
So-
the house.
Let's get to that and see if we, has there been there's a motion to amend. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All right, now,
You do know that poultry includes rabbits.
Well, they can,
Poultry
what includes rabbits?
In the Chicago,
now you're
it's
talking about
it's
another
a
crazy
huge farmer's place to sell things. They sell vegetables and everything, and we were held over going to, I forget where we were traveling, but we went to this place because a friend of mine I was in the Army with wanted to show me this. And I'd called him up to let him know I wasn't. And so we went over, and big sign, poultry. And we walk in, and I'm going, what in the heck is that? He said, oh, those are rabbits. I went, rabbits are poultry? Okay, learn something new every day.
We don't have a lot of rabbits, but I'm glad you told me. I still think it's a good idea, because we're,
We got rabbits running around wild, I mean,
well,
I got them in my neighborhood, I don't know about you, but.
But this would encompass everything, and we wouldn't have to deal with this again. That's why I like it.
We started out with this because Hardy saw a goat in somebody's backyard.
Or somebody called me about a goat.
Okay, and
I couldn't
so,
find it. We had to ride around a couple of times.
Well, you were going to the
Okay,
wrong
so-
address
Went to the
first
wrong
time.
house.
so we went from eliminating goats, because that wasn't in there, to now we're gonna eliminate every exotic animal we can think of.
Especially snakes.
Well, the exotics are
Which
already
is- I
eliminated
mean,
because the county
it's not.
eliminates them.
Yeah, if you look at the county thing, I looked at Lexington's, I didn't look at Richland's. This is just the tip of the iceberg. They've got everything in the world, and we have to go by theirs too.
And it's just like cats.
Or we have to respect it.
People don't know that their cats have to have a tag around their neck, and they have to be on a leash if you take them off your property.
Yeah, right. Tell that to Mo.
Well, hey, that Mo doesn't belong to anybody. Or
Yeah, he belongs to the town of Irmo.
Irma and Mo.
And his
They're
cousin-
feral cats, and there was something in the paper
His
today about
brother lives
feral
in my
cats
house.
being left
So,
alone.
I mean, come on now. I mean,
I'm not in there with.
I think it's overkill. I really do. But I'll go along with it if y'all want to. I think it's overkill because we're not trying to, I don't know. I don't think we're not trying to lock down every four-legged creature that walks on God's earth.
No, nothing.
And the whole idea was somebody had a goat and that wasn't listed in our thing. You
It's
know?
Mark's fault. He brought up peacocks.
Well, that's fine. I don't know if anybody has a peacock, but apparently we could
You've
have.
ever heard one in the morning, you don't want to have them in your neighborhood either.
I'm in agreement with all this.
Well, and I think too, probably years ago when this was written, they were trying to address the stuff that was more likely going to be brought into, and I think again too, when you move into a municipal or into a subdivision, there comes a time when you have to decide, am I gonna live on a farm or am I gonna live in a subdivision?
Yeah, but
You got neighbors 20 foot every way around you, so to speak.
Yeah, but you still got the issue with chickens that are gonna be coming back up, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably will.
And then now that's, is a chicken is that a farm because you got chickens in your back now? Are you trying to be a farmer or are you trying to raise chickens for whatever domestic reasons? I mean, we're gonna say all that, we're gonna pass this thing and say everything but chickens if we are to allow chickens, and then now you got arguments coming down the road, well, wait a minute, if you can have chickens, you can have,
Boa constrictors.
right, you can have
We can
whatever
have boa constrictors in-
exotic animal that's not on, that we didn't think
Chickens
of.
Inside.
Inside? Oh, God.
I mean, people can have pets inside that can't have outdoors because who's going to know they got them? Birds, snakes, and all that kind of
Yeah.
Birds.
snakes, turtles,
Yes,
little baby alligators.
you're right.
Anyway, any more discussion? All in favor then? Got to vote on the amendment first. Let's vote on the amendment that was all other types of livestock, poultry, and
Exotic.
exotic animals. All in favor, do so with show of hands. All opposed?
Barry with the snake.
Now we're back to third and final reading of ordinance 1624 as amended. Any more discussion about that?
Wait a minute.
Um,
Oh, the one we're on.
Yeah,
Okay.
with all the amendments to it. All in favor then of 1624 as amended, do so with show of hands. All opposed? All right, next is second reading of ordinance 1625. This has to do with the dilapidated structures. We have two of them in your package. One is the one that we voted on and had first reading, which if we would have to second this as it is, and then if we want to amend it to the other one, we can do so. But there was one in there, I told Kathy I would kind of rewrite it. That's what I rewrote. So is there a motion for second reading on 1625 as it is, the short version that's in our book right now? Because we'll have to second it, and then if we want to amend it, we can.
Okay, wait, 1625 amended?
Well, no, it'd be the first one, 1625,
The last
the short one.
Okay.
So is there a second for that? I mean, a motion for that? Because we have to do it and then we have to change it if we want to.
Okay, I make a motion.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And then we're going to change it?
If council wants to, then we can
Okay.
change it to this other one.
Okay.
And what I did, me and Kathy rode around and looked at some of the places she was talking about, some of the houses, garages and different garage doors and different stuff, and I tried to. And plus some of the stuff I think that other people had called about over the years about certain homes. I know even the garage doors, a couple of houses on Shillingford, I think. People have complained about that house for years, garage doors. And then I also added that thing about the gutters and window shutters that were on one of the things we talked about
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and tried to add that, incorporate it into it. So is there a motion to amend to this one or stay at the other one?
I so move to amend, to add this.
And a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion then on this amended one? And we can do one or two things. We can vote on it, accept it, give it second reading. We can vote on it, give it second reading, let Eric look at it and see if it needs to be words parsed or whatever. Or we can defer it, and let Eric look at it, and come back to the next meeting,
That's a good
and
idea.
then have second reading then.
Let's do that.
That makes sense.
Do you need some kind of formal something?
Yeah, we'd have to make a motion to, instead of voting on it, second reading, we'd have to make a motion to defer it until next meeting, and then that would give Eric 2 weeks to look at it unless he's looked at it and thinks whatever. But
Looks to me like he's looking at it now.
And scratching his head, that's a bad sign.
I move we do that.
okay,
So she just moved to do it, I'll second it.
so she moved to defer.
Yeah, I want to know what he says before, because I have questions about a couple of these. They may be right, but I need,
Okay, so there is a motion to defer until our next meeting and also have Eric look at this new amended proposal.
yes.
All in favor, or is there any more discussion?
Yeah, I want to keep in mind that if we come up with any of these 1 through 5 things that you have on this amended ordinance, that you probably need to be prepared to offer assistance for anybody who was found in violation of any of these things. In particular, a broken window, exterior doors that do not open and close. For whatever reason, they can't afford to fix the window, or they got a broken crack window or whatever, and we give them a citation. You need to get it fixed, and they don't have the money to do it. We need to be prepared to either offer them assistance to do it or refer them to an agency that can help them. Not to say, okay, you're going to get $1,000, what is it, $1,000, $1,100, something like that?
1,052 or 92 or
Right,
something, yeah.
$1,000 fine if you don't fix it in 30 days or whatever the abatement period is.
I agree.
And we can too, even at third reading, we can, instead of saying this goes on the books right now, we can say it goes on the books next June or something if we want to.
I do think,
I get these letters every now and then, requests to write a letter to somebody, Boy Scout that gets the Eagle thing. And I had two not too long ago. One of them goes to the church down here, Union United Methodist Church. And he was in the Boy Scout program, and he's also over or part of the Repair the Home program that they have.
Right.
He's graduating high school. I can't remember. I was going to look at it
what's his
today.
daddy's name? What's his, oh, he's a fine man, and he did,
I wish I could think.
he had a company that was faith-based, and he did a lot
That
of
may be the
repairs.
Hardo, Mardo, Herdo, Mergo, something. Chartis. that who you're talking about, Charles?
Chardos is who I'm
Yeah.
thinking of, yeah.
Well, this young man is going to college, but I think he's local. But he wants to continue doing that. So in my response to him and congratulation letter, I asked him to call with the scoutmaster and see if they would be willing to oversee something like that. If we could, and Larry's here, he might not like this part, but
Maybe some okra strut money?
taking the oak strut money or some of it and setting it aside for a home repair and then letting them do the qualification. And if they have the labor, then we would have X amount of dollars. They may not be able to do major big, like a roof, but they might be able to do some of this stuff here, window panes and doors and gutters and shutters
We
and
just can't make that
Some of that.
economic
matter.
determination.
I just got to remember to look in that letter I sent him and find out what his name is and call over there. And
I think we ought
asked
to
him
talk
to do that.
Chardos too and ask him if he'd be interested.
Well, I talked to him one time, and one of his problems is he has, I'm going to say 50 homes waiting.
Oh, yeah.
And very little funds. But he would do some in our town if he qualified him and we had the money. But he still may not be able to get to it for a while because of, but yeah, I think he's available and willing.
He's near St. I tell you.
So you're in agreement that we need to be able to offer assistance?
Yeah, I think
If
we
we
could
have to
set up
get this-
something like that with that Boy Scout group or Chardos or whatever. Whenever I talk to him, and I can't remember everything because it's been a couple of years ago, there are some grants, but we're probably not going to qualify for them here in this town because we're not a depressed area like some places in the state are.
I think
But-
we should get the local churches to help out.
Yeah, and the Axe Metro and some other might help fund.
Just
If we
don't
can-
have it go into effect for
Because a
several.
lot of them do anyway, but they
Don't
don't
have them affect
coordinate
what?
their efforts.
We can keep it from going into effect.
Primarily just
until
church
we
members.
Set something up. I think we can do it.
So, have we voted on deferring it? Nope.
Nope.
I'm running out of my note room
We're
here.
gonna let Eric look at it and defer it.
Yeah, until the next meeting.
Yeah.
So all in favor then of deferring it until our next meeting and having Eric look at it and see if it needs to be rewritten? You kind of know the content of what it may just need to be better written. Do so with show of hands. Next is first reading of Ordinance 1626. This is one that really needs a lot of help. I wanted to address those vacant homes and abandoned homes that we have in town, that code enforcement's been out there, nobody's responding, and then it goes to Eric, and then I don't know what happens after that. But I wanted to start something, at least Eric can have and council can have the idea of what I'm talking about, and then if we get a first, which if we're interested in doing this, fine. If we're not, fine too. But if we get a first and a second and vote on it, then we would just get the first reading, send it to Eric, and let him kind of. But the main thing is when a house is determined to be abandoned, which means they're not responding to us anymore. They quit. They're out of town somewhere. They're out of state. They're not responding to anything. We can't do anything. The house has got code violations. We stick them on the door and nothing happens. We mail them to them, nothing happens. Then at some point they give it to Eric, and then whatever happens after that, I don't know. And then Eric does whatever he does according to state law, and it's kind of limited by what you got to do. But after he does everything he can, then it comes back to us, and then we have a couple of choices, which is do nothing or condemn it. And condemning it may not be a great choice either, but at least we've kind of exhausted and we're at that point. And I don't know what all that process is, but I would like to know, and I would also like to know, and even like I put in there, I don't think I put it in here, I think I put it in the little memo that went out, that Eric would every 3 months or something, not every month, but give us an update on where houses stand, what's going on with them.
Yeah.
So we can tell citizens when they ask about what's happening in that house, at least we kind of halfway know and know something's been done.
And they ask.
Yeah, they do.
People ask, you know.
They ask all the
Why
time
did you
on
do
certain
anything?
ones, and I forget. I mean,
Yeah.
I ask, I find out, I tell them, and then I forget again, and then it starts over. But anyway, is there a motion for first reading on 1626?
I so move.
And is there a second?
Second.
And like I say, this one, you might even say it's kind of entitled only, but at least it's got enough information for us to know. And then,
I don't think it has enough information for me. What is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What is
that's
that?
whatever Eric comes up with and whatever
That's why it's going to him.
yeah, and that's why it's going to him, so he can fill out 1, 2, 3.
Well, why don't you have it go to him and come back to us with an ordinance that's complete?
Well, if we're not interested, then he don't need to waste his time looking at it.
We got to make it.
So I wanted to make sure we were interested in doing something like this. If not, then we can vote it down and all that.
But
But
didn't he procure from the state the code and send it to all of us? It's what, 28 pages or?
now that has to do with unsafe.
Yes.
And there's a difference in unsafe and, I'm gonna call it abandoned and ugly and not looking good and all that. For unsafe, you gotta have pretty much a building inspector to kind of go out and deem that, and follow up, which we could do all that, but, and I don't know, but back in 1985 when that was passed, we had a building inspector years ago, but I don't know when that was.
did.
We did because that was Stan and
Yeah.
Stan Bowen.
But then we turned that over to the county.
1995, maybe.
Okay. So they may have been doing all that stuff back
County
then.
had issues with him, but they just eliminated the position altogether. Probably not a good idea. We lost a lot of revenue by losing the building department.
He's in the hospital right now. Just
I
a,
didn't know that.
yeah, he's ill.
Stan?
Yeah, but
I'm on Facebook.
my question is who makes the decision that a property is abandoned and vacated? I mean, remember that property you had over there in back of Kroger? What was that?
Yeah, and hidden,
Back of
Hill Creek.
Hill Creek, yeah. Remember that guy had that house that he was building on for years?
Yeah.
Every month he'd go out and do a little.
Right. Would that be considered an abandoned
No.
vacated?
That one wasn't, because I think he had power on and he was living there and had some mattresses in it.
But he was working on it, like Barry said, I mean, the process on there, they were working on that thing for years and years and years because there's deadline.
Right,
Let's say you have to have construction completed by, whatever.
but it was,
But it wasn't abandoned and it really wasn't vacant, even
yeah,
though.
but it was unsightly and it was, could have been unsafe. I mean, the way it looked.
Yeah,
I mean, it's in Hill Creek, and Hill Creek's got some nice houses out there.
That guy finished that one? I haven't noticed it lately. He finished it? Okay.
Yeah, because we went to court, and the judge gave him some kind of whatever, and I can't
Deadline,
remember.
maybe.
But,
Is that on the agenda, Mr. Mayor?
but yeah, the judge gave him some kind of ultimatum, and that cleared it up. That fixed it.
Yeah, it's on this is that ordinance.
But this one only has to do with houses that are vacant and basically abandoned. The terminology is they're abandoned when they quit responding to us. And then we go to Eric, and then Eric does whatever.
So my point is this, is like, how do we make that determination?
Well, when you go to the house and nobody's there, that's vacant. And when you mail them something or stick it on the door and they don't respond, then that means it's abandoned.
Not necessarily. I could have been out of town, I could have been in the hospital, I could have been, not there to respond to it.
Oh, I think you have to talk to the neighbors, doing
Well, you can tell if a house is abandoned
Listen.
or vacant.
You're getting into the area, I think you're getting into an area that we're not qualified to make that determination that a house is abandoned. Unless it's a house that's, clearly it's fallen down, falling apart.
These aren't having to do with
and these are
falling
not
down.
those kind of houses.
These are having to do with like, what's that house over here on Royal Tower? Yeah, well, we've mailed stuff, not got anything
That
back.
house is owned by somebody.
Yeah, it is, but
Okay.
they've abandoned it because they're not responding back to us.
No, they haven't. Just because they didn't respond back to you, doesn't mean
Yeah,
it's
they
abandoned.
basically have. That's why they're not doing
No, they
anything
haven't.
to
If
it.
they didn't respond to you, they didn't respond to you. It does not mean that it's abandoned.
In my opinion,
still
it is,
own
and
it.
one of the
They
5
still
council
have-
members, I'd say it's abandoned, and if we prove this, then we're saying it's abandoned when they don't respond.
Are they
Then we go to
responding
Eric
the
and let
county
him do
paying
stuff.
taxes?
Or if they don't pay the tax.
They have to pay the taxes, they don't have to, they can wait till it's, and then the county will absorb
But
it.
it's being paid, right?
They don't have, I don't know, they don't have to be.
Well, if it's not, then that means it goes on the auction block.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the
And they may be
situation
waiting
over at
for that.
213? No, it's not. It's not on the auction block. It wasn't on the
We
last
don't know
one
that.
anyway.
They could be.
But my point is this: you're saying the property is abandoned, and somebody could have a legitimate interest in the property, and they just haven't responded
Well,
to your
once code
abatement
enforcement
notices.
does what they do and leave their notices and don't get responded to, then they go to him, which is the attorney, and he will make sure, based on law, that they do what we got to do. Which you still have to send them notices, you send them register, and you do all that stuff, and you wait time, but we got to go through that process till we get to a point where we've exhausted all avenues that we got according to law, and then we're stuck with that decision. Then it comes back to us.
But
We had a
again,
house abandoned in Old Friars Gate not long ago.
Well, that one right across from Jim Hudson Toyota, that house, nobody's lived in that house since
Well,
I've lived
the one that
in Old
kept
Friars
running,
Gate.
that-
yeah, but
But the
are they-
taxes are paid and
exactly.
it's being maintained,
somebody
He responds.
and he responds, yes.
Well,
So,
that,
That's a whole horse of
That's not
another color,
abandoned.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
he
not-
responds to
That's not
everything.
technically abandoned.
So you're saying that 213 Royal Tower is abandoned?
they haven't responded
I'm
to
talking about
anything
the
that we've
ones
sent to them.
Flooded all the time. I don't want to mention the man's name.
Oh, on the
one that
corner,
flooded
on
all
the
time.
corner.
He signed off
On the
his
corner.
rights and said, I'm gone.
Yeah, he went to
Okay.
Colorado
That's
That's
abandoned.
fine.
That's,
with the bank.
I
owner.
agree, but the bank owns it. The bank has a
maybe.
fiduciary
I
responsibility.
haven't looked.
I think all of this discussion, though, still stems back to a legal issue
Yeah.
of making a legal determination if it is abandoned. And that's something that we need to get to. We need to finally get to that so we can take some action.
Abandon is a term of art in law, and you can try to make your own definition for it as counsel, but in law, abandon means that you are not occupying it and you have no intention to return. It is a specific legal determination under the law. Yeah, like I said, you can write it as you want to. I have other concerns that are more practical than legal in this.
Well, and that's why we're going to give it to you
That's
to let
right.
you rewrite it. I mean, you can throw it all out the door and start over.
This to get you what you want,
Yeah.
what you're getting at, because if indeed property is abandoned, owned by the bank, what shall I do? Okay, they got an abatement notice because the shutters have fallen off of the side of the building. Great.
Right.
It's a Texas LLC that bought the mortgage in a fire sale from a bank that's going under, and they care not. So what? I slap them with a fine. So what?
Well, but you can write them,
Right,
at
I can
least.
write them, I mean, but
Well-
what, I can lien the property? At what point in time does this become such an issue that you actually want to do something more than that? And then, at what point in time does council want to spend the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to bulldoze a house that is truly dilapidated? These are other issues that you have, but I don't know that I'm gonna be able to write an enforcement methodology that is gonna give you any more teeth than what you presently have, if indeed it's abandoned and the person has no intention of coming back to Irma. I can't get due process on somebody I can't serve.
But we don't have anything right now. All we know is when they go out there and write a ticket and it doesn't get responded, it goes from there to you, and then we never know anything else about it.
Right.
We never know
Well,
anything.
Just for y'all's purpose, I've
Yeah.
never really gotten anything as far as me doing anything further beyond the ticket writing.
Has past councils ever been able to move on dilapidated?
It's very difficult, it's very hard.
At one time,
There's laws to protect people's right to the
yeah,
property,
but,
so.
yeah, you want to protect people's rights, but
Of course.
at one point, there was, the previous attorney was going to ask two of our federal representatives to give us the HUD repos that had no hope of, now, nothing came of it, but, that I know of, but that's the only time it came up before, in the past 12 years.
But if they go to HUD or federal government, they'll do something with them. They'll put them on the market and sell them. They don't care if they get
But if
$5
so
for it,
bad
they're
that-
gone.
yeah, If
But
they
if
are
they
on
go
the
to
market
a-
a year or two, they won't.
Mortgage company, they're not gonna put them on the market and sell them for $5. For whatever reason, they're gonna hold on to them thinking, I don't know. So I think we just,
It's very difficult.
It's frustrating because we have property owners around there whose values are being hurt.
but yeah, you get to the point, and the point is, you get down the road for gutters and shutters, you, no. But if you got a house that gets to a point where, then you gotta make a decision, we tear this house down. We've done, what was the one on Chapel
We've
White?
done that once.
Yeah,
Around Chapelwood.
was it Chapel White, or,
That we bulldozed.
Yeah.
It was,
That was
It'd been burned
fire.
down and all that.
Yeah.
Burned halfway down.
insurance was paid off, you know, we didn't have to pay anything. We just was able to condemn it through court proceedings, and we bulldozed it.
yeah.
But again, it cost, what, $10,000?
Yeah, but that's where you kind of get to on some of those houses.
Yeah, you get to that point. which is-
But I think too, if you have the right policy and you start fining them $1,000 a day until you get it to 20 or 30,000, then maybe you get their attention. I don't know. I don't know.
If they don't care, they don't care.
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
Yeah, but if you keep fining them and you build up that fine to where it's over the property's value, at that point, can't you collect the property?
If you
You'd
could,
still have to sell it, you wouldn't be able to just quid pro quo, just exchange, like home exchange, you still have to sell it.
unless you can add the fine to the tax bill and get it so high they can't pay it, and then you could buy it at a tax sale.
You could buy a tax sale, yeah.
well, the state is looking, but the law that talks about liens and how they're collected
Yeah.
doesn't force an attorney when closing a loan to collect those municipal liens. They're trying to get that changed by changing some of the word that it must be or it has to be, just like taxes are, back taxes.
And water and sewer link.
But we're not there yet, so anything that you spend on liens, you take a gamble. You don't necessarily get the
So are
money
we
back.
just spinning our wheels here?
Pretty much.
In a way, yeah, but if you get down to that point
Worth
where
it,
you have
man.
a policy in there, you can follow that policy, at least you know you've done everything you can. Until it gets to that point where you're gonna spend 10,000, 20,000, tear it down. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it isn't. But
Okay, what do we need to do? Vote?
we either need to vote it down, or vote for it and then have Eric rewrite it, and then when he comes back with whatever he's rewritten, then we can accept it or not accept it. But at least it gets it into
Well, let's vote first reading and move on.
Okay.
that hands.
Okay. That's good.
Well, I'm not in agreement with going forward if we got something that's not gonna be workable. I mean, that's a waste of time.
Well, we won't know until it comes back.
We can give him a shot and then.
So let him come back and then give us first reading. I mean, I don't know what I'm voting on. There's nothing here to vote on.
We're voting on title only, mainly on a policy on abandoned and vacant properties with this format here, and that's what we're kind of deciding. And then, so when it comes back, we'll
Okay.
decide for then.
Well, I mean, can't we do exactly what we did with the other ordinance?
Well, the other one was at second reading. This one's at first. So you really need to either shot it down or
I see.
pass it, and then direct them to, and then come back at second reading with the better wording. So all in favor then of first reading of 1626, do so with show of hands. All opposed? And then Eric, we're gonna let you throw this away and start over or whatever. And have something that we can kind of figure out. Next is an approval. We got a couple different things here. One is to continue, one is to terminate, and one is to replace. We have a contract right now, which we don't need to vote to continue if we're going to continue it. But if we're going to terminate it and replace it or award it, then we do. So I'm going to ask for either a motion to terminate, and then we can start from there and go into executive session if we need to. And then if we want to terminate, we can. If we want to not terminate, we can come back and say we're going to continue.
Did we get that information we asked for? From Advance?
For
Going to multiple days and so,
They said they'd go to multiple days with 3%.
multiple days.
Yeah.
under the current contract.
Under
Yeah.
the current contract, if we gave them a 3% increase that they're asking for 2016.
And that's in their contract regardless, so. But before so is there a motion to, and let me just say this, even if we vote to terminate, that gets the ball rolling, we can talk about it, we can go into executive session, that doesn't mean we have to, we can do whatever we want to do. But we can't really vote to continue because we already got a contract that does continue. So is there,
Make a motion to terminate.
oh, okay. Is there a second?
Okay, wait a minute. You said continue or terminate or replace the solid waste services contract, and what they gave us was a replacement to the current contract, is that right?
Mm-mm. No, all they gave us is changing their pickup, which is part of they changed from multiple days to single. They can change from single to multiple. But before we
And the
discuss
contract
this,
still ends on this, end of this 2017.
is there a motion? We got a
Contract
motion,
ends
is there
on
a second?
2017.
Correct. 12 more months.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Now, if we don't second it, we're gonna cancel it. I mean, we'll be done with this, the contract will continue.
Just as it is.
Just as no, with them changing to multiple days, because they've already agreed to that. So if we don't get a second, then we're not terminating, we're just accepting and letting them go. To multiple days come March or whenever they can switch it over.
Yeah.
Through December of
2017. It ends 2017 anyway, okay.
But they'll switch to multiple days as soon as they can, get 3% more, whatever that thing is.
I made the motion.
Okay, so there's no second? So the motion dies for lack of second, which basically means, if I'm correct, Bob, the contract will continue until 2017,
When it's over
and it's
anyway.
over anyway.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, I'll send them a letter, you're gonna give them a 3% increase. I think that takes the rate up to like 13 or 13.
and they switch to multiple days
And then
come
switch to multiple days.
March or
It'll
whatever.
Probably take a couple months to be able to put that in place.
Okay, so everybody understands that?
I do. I don't know about you people.
Well, okay, well, I just want to make sure, because don't want to come back next month and have it on the agenda again.
I'll contact the other bidders and throw the bids out, cancel the.
Have it on the agenda again for what?
That's what I'm saying, I just want to make sure we understand, so we won't. Yeah.
Well, you don't want to put it on in the first place, I mean.
That's got your name on it.
You know, you didn't want to start this whole process of getting them canned, so I mean,
Well,
we gonna put it back on the agenda next month?
I don't know. Next item is C, approval of resolution 1701 to adopt the town safety policies. This is something that we have to do every year. Is there a motion for approval?
I so move.
Is any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor then of
We don't have a
approval?
safety policy in place now?
Yeah, but we have to do this every year for the
Okay.
insurance and all that stuff.
Okay.
Keep redoing it.
Gotcha.
All in favor then, do so with show of hands. Next is an approval of the 2017 council meeting schedule. This is something that the law requires us to post our schedule for the whole year. So this is our schedule for next year, and it looks like there's 2 meetings, July 4th and Election Day is the only ones that are canceled. And then we have 3 budget workshops, which you normally do. Is everybody happy with that?
Happy, happy, happy.
All in favor? Well, let's see, I didn't do an approval, but I don't think, yeah, we don't really have to. Okay, go ahead. See.
No, we're voting.
All right, all in favor then do so with show of hands. Next is presentation by citizens. This is where anyone who wants to address council on anything, regardless of whether it's on the agenda or not, may do so. All you have to do is give us your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, George Glassmer, 110 Beck Road. Let me make a suggestion on perhaps an indicator that you could use to determine if a property is abandoned and integrate this in the ordinance. If the property does not have current utility service, that is to wit, electricity and water, I think that'd be an excellent indicator that the property is abandoned. And I think you could use that to persuade a jury at a trial. So perhaps you want to consider that, Counselor. Now, I want to go back to something that Mr. Walker talked a great bit about earlier in this meeting. When he talked about the project on Carlisle Street, he suggested that we've been handled. Well, I suggest you listen to him because he certainly, in my view, he is the expert on being handled, because I can remember before this town park was built over here off Eastview, I was most vocal in opposition to that, as I was vocal in opposition to the one across the street before that. But before the one off Eastview was built, Mr. Walker sat in this chamber as a councilman and repeatedly assured the members of this community that the cost of that park would not exceed $1 million. As of about this time last year, it was already over $2.3 million. And now he wants to spend more money on electrical modifications so me and other citizens in this town can be handled, to use your term, even more. Thank you.
But wait a minute, Mr. Glassman. but
Don't
if we
argue
use-
with this. I mean,
No,
he
no,
says he
no.
wants to be
If we
handled.
use the profits from.
Why, this is
every
not a
property-
debate, Kathy. This is not a debate.
I just,
He said
Well,
what he had to say, and I heard it.
It's not-
And I'm,
right,
he said what he had to say.
Whoa, whoa.
No,
Let him
we're gonna
say
let
it,
him
and let it.
finish.
It's not a debate.
I'll
You've
tell you
debated
why.
many people up here yourself, so don't start,
It's not a debate.
it's
We
not.
heard what he had to say. Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't make sense, fine. We heard what he
Well-
had to say,
Who's the chairman of this?
you know.
And if Kathy wants to ask something, and I'm gonna be respectful to everybody up here, you've done the same thing the others have too. When people are up here, even though it's not a debate, and we shouldn't, we do sometimes still ask them questions or try to understand something, so, you know, that's fine.
What possible question would you ask somebody that's?
It doesn't
speaking
matter
his
what
way?
possible questions anybody would. You've asked them before, so have others, so yes, I'm gonna allow that to some degree.
So you
Now,
allow
if we
that to
want to
some
get into
degree.
parliamentary procedure, let me remind everybody that the consideration of communications is for emails and letters that you want to share with people, not a time to debate sidewalks and repairs. So I'll let you go on with that. That's not part of consideration of communication either. But go ahead, you're through. You can talk, whatever.
I understand that the profits from the orchestra may be used to fund that, but that's actually town money, all that.
Well, it is.
It is, all of it's.
And it doesn't have to be spent on that. That's town
No.
money for this council to decide what to spend on. You can buy new police cars with that if you want to.
That is true, but if they're gonna continue doing as well as they are with that orchestra, I want it to be a success. It's
Well, that's a
making money.
decision- That's a decision for this council to make,
Yeah.
and I understand that.
We will. I mean, we'll have it on at some point.
So what was your point then?
Next, anyone else who would like to address council?
Spending money they made.
Right.
I can hear now.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Anyone else?
Pointless argument.
No one else? Nobody. I'm looking back here at some people. Y'all don't want to tell us anything good or what's going on, or?
Thank you.
Are the ones behind you too?
Oh, Linda, tell us what's going on.
We just try and stay in business.
Okay.
Okay. So anyone else? No one else? No discussions, no executive sessions. Is there a motion for
I so
adjournment?
move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Do so by saying aye.
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 Thank y'all.